On the 20th of November, 1917, a British general did something no general was supposed to do. He climbed inside a tank. Not to inspect it. Not to pose for photographs. He was going to lead the attack himself. In an iron box. With no way out if it caught fire. His name was Hewells. And what happened next would end one era of warfare and begin another. On one side of the line, horses, 10,000 of them, bred for speed, trained to charge, ready to be the weapon that broke the stalemate. On the other side, machines. 476 tanks, crawling, grinding, unstoppable, November 1917, the old world. And the new world met at Cambrai. Only one of them was going home. Britain rang its church bells in November 1917. For the first time since the war began, actual bells. Victory bells. They rang them too early. Within 10 days, every yard of ground they'd taken was gone. And the men who were supposed to save it, 10,000 cavalry soldiers on horseback, never got the chance. This is why. It is 1917. 3 years into a war that was supposed to last 6 months. The Western Front is a scar across France. For 100 miles long, men have died by the millions for fields, for mud, for nothing. The generals needed a breakthrough, not a small one, a real one. And they thought they had it. Tanks had been used before at the Somme in 1916, but never like. This never massed, never in the hundreds. General Julian Byng had a plan. Find ground that was dry, ground that wasn't churned to mud, and send every tank Britain had all at once before the Germans knew what was coming. The place, Cambrai, a French market town behind the German lines, while the tank crews prepared. The machines oiling tracks, loading shells, reading last letters from home. 10,000 cavalry soldiers were also waiting their horses as sabers at LANCES. But generals still believed cavalry could win the war. That belief is what turned a miracle into a catastrophe. I want you to picture Hewells on the morning of November 20th. He's the commander of the tank corps. He's 37 years old. He has spent 2 years watching his machines get misused. Today is different. He gets in a tank F call sign, Hilda. He ties the tank corps flag to the hull, brown, red, green, and at 6:20 in the morning, 476 tanks roll forward, silence, then thunder. The tanks crush the barbed wire flat, they roll over trenches, they absorb machine gun fire. By noon, the British have punched a 6-kilometer hole in the German line, 6 kilometers, in a war where men died for yards. The guns back in Britain fire a victory salute. Church bells ring across the country, but here is where the story turns, and it turns hard. The plan was simple. Tanks break the line. Cavalry pour through the gap. 10,000 horses, the finest cavalry in the British Army. They had one job, and they couldn't do it. Not because they were cowards, because the ground was chaos. The wire was crushed but into jagged tangles that cut horse legs. The roads were clogged, and the gap in the German lines, one man, one gun. He held up an entire British division. By evening on November 20th, the miracle was stalling. The tanks had broken through, but a third of them were already out of action. High Command had no plan for what to do next. The cavalry were eventually ordered forward in small groups. They were cut down by machine guns, because that is what machine guns do to horses. On November 30th, the Germans hit back, using new tactics, infiltration, in hours. The Germans retook almost everything. By December 7th, the battle was over. The lines were almost exactly where they had been, thousands of men dead, 10,000 cavalry. Horses that never got their charge. And in Britain, they had to explain why the church bells were ringing before the victory was real. Hewells survived. He spent the rest of his life arguing that tanks could have ended the war sooner. He wasn't wrong. Cambrai proved that armored warfare was the future. It decided what war would look like for the next 100 years, the tank. A surprise attack, the combined arms assault. Every major offensive from 1939 onwards uses the template that Hewells sketched out. Subscribe if you think history has been lying to you. Should the cavalry charge have been sent in, or was it always a death sentence? Drop your answer below.